So, you have seen this slide a few times. Just going to refresh a little bit on what marketing is all about, what advertising is supposed to do. Get them to try and then get them to be loyal, become a most valuable customer. That's what we call it. It's what an MVC is, by the way. I think we talk about that too much in our class, but probably will. We will for sure when we get more into media planning. I do want to add something to the purchase funnel. You probably haven't heard me say too much about this since the beginning of the course. But again, from the 2-hour Amazon presentation that ran, I think it was Tuesday night, I'm adding another step. So now there's 7. I'm adding experience. Luckily, Acapella still works. So after you buy something, you use it. And then you like it. It can be built into loyalty and advocacy. So how does mobile advertising fit with that? Of course, mobile advertising, like all advertising, is mostly about building awareness, consideration, and preference. The only other thing is with mobile is that you can do emails to mobile as you can to interactive advertising. Email is one of the tools, and that's the loyalty builder. That's the primary loyalty builder. But basically, mobile isn't anything really mysterious. It's like everything else. It's either going to help you get new customers or it's going to help you build loyalty. So some of the questions that one might ask when one is putting together a mobile advertising program: how is the customer target already using mobile to interact with your brand? They're going to your website, for instance. What's the consumer looking for in the space you're in? What are your competitors doing? What sort of device are they on? And I think tablets are kind of falling by the wayside. I don't see too many tablets anymore. I think the screens are just big enough on the phones now, and you probably do too. Well, I have a few friends who have tablets, but they tend to be older. What's the mindset of the customer? Where are they in terms of their buying? Can they do it right now, or would it be later? The activity they're involved in on their mobile, and where are they? Of course, this is key for mobile. Mobile is a real out-of-home advertising. It's in-home when you're in home, but it's out-of-home when you're out-of-home. And so what are people doing? I mean, I can reach people with static signs or even with bus signs and subway signs. They move, particularly bus signs or taxi top signs. In fact, by the way, there's a company that's trying to put together putting signs on top of Uber and Lyft cars. That would also be mobile advertising, but the phone is really mobile. It's with you and visible all the time. What kind of content are people searching for on their phones? What are they expecting? And then how are other brands enabling consumer action within your segment? There was an interview conducted a few years ago about what types of mobile inventory are most important to your campaigns. And of course, people want to make sure they have a website that's been optimized for mobile. A lot of people doing search and social media, running video. Some people are sponsoring things. Some people are doing banners. Some people using SMS. You remember Rich Media, which is basically banners that have animation. So there you see how people are thinking about what type of advertising to do on mobile. Of course, mobile video, I don't think I need to play you guys the mobile video. My guess is you've probably seen one or two of them. It's a tricky business. It's growing, of course, phenomenally. It's the fastest growing phenomenon really in advertising is video on mobiles. Here are interviews with teen and millennial users about in the U.S. about what's important to them in a mobile ad. I want to be able to save it, delivered by a trusted source, right up there. As an offer is important. Customized for you is important. Usually shares, provides info, ability to shop directly from the ad. Ad is relevant in terms of proximity and location. Some of the things that are important in mobile ads. Now with video, it's a tricky business because, as we all know, we are doing other things on our mobile other than sitting and looking at advertising for the most part. It's a device that you use all the time for things that you want to do, whether it's doing stuff with social media or Instagram, or it's looking for a nearby bank where you can get cash, or a nearby Taco Bell where you can spend the cash if you wish. You're doing things. You don't want to be interrupted. It's annoying. So I think more than any other device or whatever, I mean, much more so than watching video on watching a TV ad, where you're kind of getting free programming for the ad. That's how you look at it, or free content. Mobile ads are just popping up videos. So the tricky bit is they have to really capture your attention and your interest and engage you very quickly. So one recommendation is to start with your most captivating elements if you're creating an ad for mobile. You also want to get your brand message and identity, so in other words, your benefit and who you are early before people can click off it. Always with video, whether it's TV, wherever the video runs, it's wise to turn the sound off and watch your ad and see whether it communicates clearly what you want to communicate. So this too says, build it for sound off and delight with sound on. Tell your story visually and add captions. So make it as short as it can be and as long as it needs to be. And you can experiment to learn, right? Because you can see how long people watch and when they click off, and etc. And we'll talk, I think we talk a little bit more about video impressions, but just in case we don't. So I think I may have mentioned it in the internet section. Anyone who watches 2 seconds of a video ad, it counts as an impression. It's another reason to get your goods up front. Oh yes, so let's remember our carrying it with us. And the fact that we're carrying it with us at all times means that it's location inclusive. Our location can be tracked, and that information about where we are can be used to target us in different ways. And that's something that's hard to do with other devices. You can do it with well, no, you're not really tracking the person. I mean, no, this is really the only thing I can think of where ads can differ based on where you are individually. So right place, right time, yes, right when you may be making a buying decision. Do loyalty frequency programs. You can collect customer data. You can get an actual purchase because someone could be near a store. Geo-targeting is the practice of delivering content to a user based on his or her geographic location. And there's a lot of that going on in mobile. That's one key thing you do with mobile that you really can't with other things. And so, location-based social networking sites, yes. I think of Pokemon Go, by the way. Pokemon Go was also, I've been told, a way to gather data on you when you have the app turned on in terms of where you are. And I need to research it more, but I think the data that was gathered by the company that did Pokemon was used. QR codes, everybody knows about. We're all doing our tickets that way these days, aren't we? More and more. Save a tree. Lots of QR codes that can be, you can scan a QR code on your phone. You can be sent a QR code to do things. So QR codes have an interesting future. Advertising in apps, of course, has done a lot. And SMS, we know about emails, but SMS is something special to phones. SMS is considered, I think, by most of us a more personal, it's definitely uncluttered, by the way. And it really has to be permission-based. This is where you can really, we all know we get ticked off if somebody's starting to text us that we didn't agree to. But it is much less cluttered. And I know with my daughter that she doesn't like phone calls. And I bet you if I were in a classroom with you and I asked you guys if you preferred SMS to or phone calls, I'd hear a lot of you say that you prefer and you talk to your friends via SMS, via text. But if you're an advertiser or marketer, it better be permission based. It better be your bank or alerting you when your balance is low, or an airline telling you that your tickets are ready or that your flight is boarding, or it better be permission based. It's a delicate balance there. So we've talked about a little bit about the history of mobile and how it's zoomed in terms of numbers of devices, 3.3 billion worldwide, how it uses radio, electromagnetic wave technology with satellites, how 5G is going to make it faster, and we'll get into that a little tiny bit more in just a second when we talk a little bit about the future. And we talked about video, and we talked about the special nature of the device itself, that it's somehow more personal, I think, than just about anything else, that you're any other kind of medium, and that you're doing useful things on it all the time. You don't want to be, plagued with too much advertising, so it's delicate. Ads have to be quick and interesting and entertaining, and I think it's led to, also to a large degree, to advertising that's less hard sell, that's more friendly and more entertaining. These are the videos that you'll look at. These are the videos that you might share. And ultimately that, of course, is what the advertiser wants you to do, share it. Strengths and weaknesses of mobile. Well, it's a small screen. It's about the opposite of an out-of-home ad with a huge display. It's an intrusion on personal space. Color reproduction is not going to be, it's not absolutely the same on every phone, just as it isn't on every TV, but maybe even more so, although the screens are getting better and better. It's always with you. It's a mechanism to search and buy right now. It's the only medium that's really space related to you. It works with retail. What other strengths and weaknesses can you think of with mobile? Here are a few things that were raised by marketers a couple of years ago. They have privacy issues, device operating system fragmentation, lack of standardized advertising units. So the IAB needs to get more involved. Agencies don't really know how to do mobile. It's new for them, although that's changed. But it's still new. What about the metrics? What about the measurability? What is an impression? Is it really an impression? Difficult to create video and rich media. Limit opportunities for creativity. Too many different ways to source. Lack of global mass market. I'm going to stop and pick up in just a second.